Hello, 7th grade, and welcome to my first ever video, first ever YouTube video that I'm making for you guys. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 3, Section 2, which is all about solving inequalities by adding or subtracting. I'm going to teach us exactly how I would teach it if I were standing at the front of the classroom using the board. So you guys should take notes exactly how I am giving them as if I were standing at the front of the room. Okay, this is going to be kind of a quick lesson. This is exactly like solving equations by adding or subtracting for one-step equations. Okay, so we're going to go right into it, and we're going to have two properties. We're going to have the addition property of equality, and we're going to have the subtraction property of inequality. And these are all in your book. So if you wish to see it for yourself, it's right in your book. So what this is, if you have an inequality that's true, okay? So we have 7 is, you know what, let's choose a different number. 8 is greater than 4, okay? So what the addition property of inequality says is if I add 2 to both sides, this inequality is still true. We know 8 plus 2 is 10, and 4 plus 2 is 6. So therefore, 10 must be greater than 6. Okay? And likewise, on the subtraction property of inequality, if I have 8 greater than 4 again, if I subtract 2 from both sides, okay, we know that 6 must be greater than 2. Okay, so that's the addition property of inequality and the subtraction property of inequality. Those might be on your quiz, so you should know the names of those inequalities and what they mean. Okay. So now we're going to go into an example. Again, this is example 1 in your book. So solving inequalities by adding. So the problem says solve n minus 10 is greater than 14. Then graph the solution. So we're going to take what we've learned in Chapter 2, and we're going to take what we've learned in Section 3.1, and we're going to complete this problem. Okay. Let me adjust the video here quick. Okay. So if we had an equal sign right here, we would know that we need to use the inverse operation. Okay. And we have n minus 10. So we want to get rid of that 10 and move it to the other side. So the inverse operation of subtraction is going to be addition. Okay. So we're going to add 10 to both sides. So we have the 10s cancel here. So we have n. The sign comes down, greater than, okay, 14 plus 10 is 24. So our final answer is going to be n is greater than 24. Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and do step 2, graph the inequality. Okay, so I know my number is 24. I'm going to put a dot on 24. Okay, I have greater than, which means it's an open circle. And because I want a number that's greater than, I'm going to point my arrow to the right. Okay, so in order to get credit for this problem, you will need to show the inequality and the graph. Okay. Last year, a bunch of students only did the first part or the second part. Okay, I'm looking for both parts here. And during your homework, this is the work I want shown. So now at this point, I ask that you go ahead and do quick check number 1, which is solve y minus 3 is less than 4. Okay, and then graph the solution. So quick check number 1. So go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to complete this problem right now so you can have the answer. So your final answer should have been y is less than 7, and your graph should have looked like this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and circle my answers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the second part of our lesson, which is going to be solving inequalities by subtracting. Okay, so just like the subtraction property of inequality, what we subtract from one side, we subtract from the other side, and it keeps the inequality true. So our first example is going to be solve y plus 7 is greater than or equal to 12. And then we are going to graph the solution. Okay. So first step is the inverse operation. So y plus 7, the inverse is going to be subtraction. So we subtract 7 from both sides. These 7s cancel. So we're going to have y is greater than or equal to 12 minus 7 is 5. So our final answer is y is greater than or equal to 5. I'm going to graph this solution. So I'm going to put a circle at 5, okay, because it's greater than or equal to. The equal to tells us to fill in this circle. Greater than tells us to point our arrow to the right. And that is the solution for example 2. So now I want you to go ahead and do quick check number 2. I'm only going to do quick check 2 part A, but you can go ahead and check your answers. Please pause the video now. So your final answer for quick check number 2, part A, should have been x is greater than -4. And you should have an open circle at -4 with an arrow pointing to the right. So now I'm going to write your homework here. Okay, your homework is going to be page 106, number 7, 9, 10, and 15. 17, 21, 24, 25, 27, and 37. So go ahead and complete that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me if I am not teaching. And that's the end of my first video. I will have the video for section 3, chapter 3, section 3 coming up. That's going to be similar to what we did today with one little hitch in it. So good luck on your homework, and the answers should be online. If they're not, go ahead and use my book to check your answers.